there are two sexes, but there can be more than two genders?
I wouldn't even say two. And
Do you think there are more than two sexes?
I believe that there's a definition for intersex.
And how many genders are there?
I think the gender is expansive.
More than 5?
What the hell is she talking about?
Stop giving your money to woke corporations that hate you and your values. That's why I order all my man's shaving products from Jeremy Razors. Order your Precision 5 starter set today. This set comes with 4 razor blades, sharp as true, with tungsten handle and flip back trimmer. You're not in the market for razors? Jeremy Razors also has other facial products fit just for men. So you don't have to stock your bathroom with products that clean your body but stains your conscience. So shut up and shave. Go to jeremyrazors.com and use cburns15 to save 15% off. That's jeremyrazors.com. Use my special code cburns15 to save 15% off.
Riley Gaines, in this next interview, she's going to mention Serena and Venus Williams. Old girl, named Robertson, I think. She mentioned that, people try to match up with Serena Williams and Serena and Venus Williams, since they're such a supreme athlete that no one could match up with them. But I know you guys remember this when they got beat back to back. Venus and Serena Williams lost to the 203rd ranked male tennis player, because we know there's a visible and substantial difference between men and women.
Ms. Robinson, I want to follow up by trying to understand your answer to one of Senator Cruz's questions. And this is really a question, not a suggestion. Do I understand your position to be that there are two sexes, but there can be more than two genders?
I wouldn't even say two. And, we've got Dr. Lopez here as well, but there's also the definition of intersex. I think that often in these conversations, we're conflating sex and gender. And I do want to affirm here that trans women are women. That is their...
No, they're not. I'm sorry. We're not conflating the two. Gender and sex is synonymous to each other. Okay? You using the word... Oftentimes, we conflate sex and gender. No, we're not.
But I'm trying to understand, do you make a distinction between sex and gender?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Explain that. Do you think there are more than two sexes?
I believe that there's a definition for intersex as well that I want to acknowledge. But sex is assigned at birth.
3? I'm just trying to understand. I'm thoroughly confused. So you're born, I'm talking about biology, male, female, and what else?
I believe that intersex is also acknowledged. But again, I'm not a doctor here. What I can say...
And what does intersex mean?
Is that there's a difference between sex and gender. And I think in these conversations, we're conflating the two.
Well, but I want to start with sex, okay? There's male, there's female. When a baby's born, before the baby has had time to even have a sense of self, there's male, female, and intersex. There's a third sex.
I believe that is true, but I would defer to Dr. Lopez as I'm not a physician.
Okay. And how many genders are there?
I think the gender is expansive, and the definitions are always growing. Today I can tell you, I talk to young people that talk about non-binary as...
More than 5?
I think the gender is not a binary, is what I'm trying to say.
Are there more than 5 genders? I'm just trying to understand. Are there more than 5 genders?
Well, I think that there was a time where women wearing pants didn't feel like it was appropriate for their gender, and yet...
Does anyone else feel like going through the TV and smacking this lady? Like, do you need a psychiatrist? Oh, I think gender is expensive. And he's like, more than 5. I mean, at the time we wore pants. That don't mean I changed my gender because I wear pants. Can anybody tell me what the hell is she talking about?
Wearing pants didn't feel like it was appropriate for their gender, and yet I'm wearing pants today. I think that there are ways that we express our gender that are expansive.
Are there more than 5?
I wouldn't subject myself to naming how many genders there are, but what I can say is that gender is a reflection.
Number?
Excuse me?
There's an infinite number of genders?
I think depending on your culture, there are a lot of different genders that exist. And I can also say that it's a term that's evolving. If you look at young people today, they really don't lean into the binary of only woman and man. So I think that it's incumbent upon us not to legislate on this, but create space for them to explore what their identities are, what their gender identities are.
All right. Let's get back to athletics. I think I understand what you're saying. There are three sexes: male, female, and intersex.
I believe that to be true, but again, I'm not a physician.
And
so
there are an infinite number of genders, because gender is a mental state.
Gender is about expression, and I think that there are a variety of ways that you can express your gender.
Okay, so there's infinite number. All right, let's go back to the biology. Male, female, boy, girl, okay? Biologically, do males have an advantage over females biologically in sports?
Again, I'm not a physician, and I can't speak to that.
What's your real world experience?
It depends. I mean, there are some people who are born male that I'm faster than if I were to sprint against them, and some that I'm not. Some males that are taller than some women, and some that are shorter.
You don't believe that a biological male has a physical advantage in sports over a biological female?
Not as a definitive statement.
Give me an example. Well, no, I don't think. How many female members of the NBA do you see?
Well, I can say that, there's been this news article about men that think that they could beat Serena Williams in tennis, right? That they think that they could actually score a point on her. And it's just not the case. She is stronger than that.
What's your experience, Ben? Male, female?
Both Serena and Venus lost to the 203rd ranked male tennis player, which they're phenoms for women. My experience, my husband, he swam at University of Kentucky as well. In terms of accolades and in terms of national ranking, I was a much better swimmer than him. He could kick my butt any day of the week without trying.
Okay. I just think, Ms. Robinson, I'm trying to understand where you're coming from.
Senator Kennedy, you're not going to understand, because she's a nut job. She's not on planet Earth. She's stuck in La La Land. It's not for us to understand. This is what we need to come to the conclusion. It's not for us to understand, because we're not going to ever understand that. Even when she explained that gender is always changing, the definition is always changing. Okay? The number is always changing. So it's not for us to understand. We just need to protect our children. That's the only thing that we could do right now. We're not going to understand it. They're always changing the goalposts. So we need to just come to the conclusion that we just focus on what we need to do to protect children. To me, Senator Kennedy made her look so foolish. She looks like a nut job. And people watching this are just as confused as they were before they started questioning. Because I really believe he was really trying to understand where she was coming from, so he could make a sound decision of whether or not to ban transgenders from sports.
I just think, Ms. Robinson, I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. I think you lose a lot of credibility when you don't concede that a biological male has physical advantages over a biological female. I mean, I just think that's a proven fact, and you really hurt your credibility. I understand you want the world to be a better place. I do too, and I don't think people ought to be discriminated against because of an immutable characteristic. I don't. And I think that I think everybody ought to be free to be themselves. And what you do in your bedroom or what I do in my bedroom with a consenting adult is nobody's business. But if what I do in my bedroom with a consenting adult, if I decide I want to tell somebody's child about it, then other people have rights too. And I think parents have rights. And I think biological females have rights to be able to compete fairly in sport, in sports. So I really think you hurt your credibility when you refuse to acknowledge that biological males have an advantage over biological females. It kind of makes me wonder about all your testimony. Thank you,
Senator
Mr. Chairman.
Kennedy. I'm sorry, go ahead.
What I'm trying to say is that there is not a definitive advantage in all cases. Sir, I don't know if you believe that you could beat Serena Williams in tennis, but I probably think that that's not the case. There are not all cases where all men are physically superior to all women. And at the end of the day, in this conversation, we're not.
But we're not talking about, the small, minute difference or the one-off case. Now, transgenders or transgenderism is the one-off case. They affect very small percent of the population. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about, as a population whole, male compared to female, as a whole, 99.9% of the time, men has a far more advantage than women. They're physically more able to achieve what they're trying to achieve. And I'm not an athlete, but yesterday I went to go work out, and we had to do these all-out rowers, the rowing machines. We had to row 2,800 meters. There were all females there. It was 2 guys there. But who I was not rowing against, but he was in the same block as me. He was an older man. He had to be like in his 60s. He was finishing way faster than all the females. And they were young. It was girls in their 20s. He was finishing faster. And then one girl, she looked like she was an athlete. She had a cheerleader outfit on. You should have seen her legs. Her legs was big as hell. And I mean, she was like real big, strong. And he was killing us. And he was a 65-year-old man. And he finished that. He finished the whole block. I think I end up doing just under 2,000. I think I rode 1,900 meters. And he finished the whole block. And he was 65 compared to all the other ladies. So what is she talking about? On average, men are stronger. Just this whole feminist movement, like, we're equal. No, you are not. You are not equal to a man. You can't whoop a man's ass. You can't outrun him. You can't outpace him. You just can't do it. We need to get out of this, we want to be gender fluid. No, you're not. Because in all reality, it's not true. That's just basic science.
We're talking about trans women who are, in fact, women, who deserve to play in a gender that matches their sports, who deserve all the benefits that Ms. Gaines is talking about. And as a cisgender Black woman, I can say definitively that my womanhood is not threatened by a transgender person asserting hers as well.
Senator.
You sound like a damn fool. Number one, you called yourself cisgender. Who does that? As a cisgender woman, because you're trying to be an ally to trans. If you were an athlete, you would probably feel different about it. So don't do this. And yeah, I'm not threatened by a trans woman. No, why would I be? If I was an athlete, yeah, I'd be threatened by that. If she tried to fight me, I'll be threatened by that. If I knew this was a transsexual and they tried to fight a girl, yeah, I'll be threatened by that.